this practice only. Yeah. So this Java 1.8, make sure that you are keeping this Java 1.8, right? Then next, in next, what it will show you, it is SRC folder. This SRC folder is going to have all your .java files, and this bin folder is going to have your .class files, and click on finish. This is the only thing which we need to do over here, right? So the code is, the project is created. You need to make sure that this is Java SE 1.8. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Once you are creating this SRC folder, just right click, new, and create a class over here. Now, whenever you are creating any class, make sure that you are following the coding convention or naming convention. In class name, first character of class must be capital. Okay. Now, whatever assignments you will upload, I'm going to check from the naming perspective as well. Have you followed it or not? Yes, and feedback will be shared with you. I want everyone to follow naming conventions as I am specifying over here. What is the reason behind this is, after this particular training, when you will be deployed into the project, and if you don't follow these naming conventions over there, people come back to me and say that, Nisha, aapne kya sikhaya? Okay. So now it is getting recorded कि Nisha has told you to follow naming conventions, right? Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So closely
Yeah.
make sure that everyone is following naming convention. This definitely makes a difference once you are deployed into the project, and your managers will see from this perspective also. Right now, you will think that this is a very small thing. It is a small thing, I agree, but it is mandatory thing, right? So you'll have to follow this. There is no other option. And if anyone is going to not follow this, then there is a punishment. What punishment? I will tell later on. So this is the Hello World class which I have created. Yes. Why not responding? Huh. Just increase the font size. Is this okay? Visible? Or
Yes,
should I?
ma'am.
Little
Yes,
bit
yes.
more.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so this is our class. Then main method we have. Main method is the entry point of any Java application. So whenever you need to execute any Java application, you are going to add this main method to it, and this will be the starting point. Yes. Then system.out.println, how I have done this. Now Eclipse provides you the shortcuts for everything.
Yes, ma'am. See, so
So
dot
main
space.
control space. Control space is also okay. Yes. So control space, then SYSO control space. What I want to display, obviously, I will have to provide hello world, right? Now, whenever you need to compile the code, right? This is the command which we are using, comment which we are using over here, right? So whenever we are going to compile the code, so for compilation, the command used is Java C. Okay, then hello world dot Java. Java, right? So this is the command, right? So if you are using command prompt to compile and execute the code, because this application can be implemented or developed, written using a simple text editor like Notepad or TextPad, and then make use of command prompt for compilation and execution, right? So if you are using command prompt, this is the command that you need to use. And for execution, the command is Java. Here we are not going to make use of any extension, right? So once there is a successful compilation of this hello world.java, a .class file will be created. I have already told you that what things are taken care of at the time of compilation. First thing is syntax. Second thing is method calls, whether the method calls are valid or not, whether a specific object is eligible for invoking a specific method or not. That everything is checked at the compilation level, right? So if there is any error, compilation error will be thrown. If not, after successful compilation, a .class file will be created, and that .class file will be hello world.class. So for every .java file, you will have one .class file, and that .class file we are going to execute. However, while executing, we are not going to specify Java hello world.class. It is not going to be done. It will be only Java hello world. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now let's understand this particular class word to word. So who will explain? First word which we can see over here is public, the first one. So what is meaning of it?
Access specifier.
Yes, ma'am.
Access specifier.
Anyone can access within a module or outside the module.
Correct. And also it is a keyword. Keywords are the words for Java which has got, or which we can say as a preserved words, which has got a specific meaning, right? And these keywords cannot be used as an identifier. Identifier is nothing but name of the variable or method or class or interface or enum, right? So that is not possible. You cannot make use of keywords as an identifier. First thing, keywords are all in lowercase. All keywords, whatever this particular word you can see in this particular color code, right? These are all keywords. So public, class, static, void, and all these are lowercase. All keywords are always in lowercase. Java is case sensitive. So if you will write public in lowercase and if you will write capital P public, they are not same. They are two different words that you are using over here. And capital P public is not access specifier, right? All access specifiers are the keywords, and all keywords in Java are in lowercase. So you need to understand over here. After that, class. What is meaning of class? Again, it is a keyword.
Yes, ma'am.
That specifies definition of a class. So I'm going to define a class over here. That is nothing but class keyword. So when you need to start the definition of a class, it is done by using class keyword. Hello world. It is an identifier,
Yes, ma'am.
but name of the class,
Class.
right? And name of the class will always begin with capital letter, and you will follow the camel casing.
Camel case convention.
Camel casing. If you have multiple English words, then first character of every new word will be capital. So here you can see that hello is one English word, and world is one English word. So H and W are capital. So this is the camel casing, and this is coding convention which is used, naming convention which is used, and that increases the readability of the code, right? That increases the readability of the code. This is what we have over here. So this is about the class. Then this curly bracket, start of the class definition. Yes, after that again public, which is again access specifier, and it is also a keyword, right? What is static?
It's like a fixed, also a keyword, ma'am. And that
Correct.
is used for
Value
fixed
can't be
keyword.
changed, ma'am.
Huh?
Value can't be changed if an identifier given static.
Static value can be changed.
When static means we can access
Don't need
that
to
file
create
without
object.
creating an object.
Yeah.
We can directly call a function without any
Without making it subset.
Correct. So whenever, so static is a keyword and it is just a modifier. Okay, it is just a modifier, not access specifier or access modifier, just a modifier. Now, static, we are going to discuss about static keyword in detail, no doubt about it. However, what static keyword means, whenever any entity belongs to any class according to object-oriented programming concepts, whenever you are developing or whenever you are specifying any method within a particular class, it must be accessed using object of that particular class. You cannot directly call it. We have discussed about modular approach and data security, right? Now, when it comes about the usage of concept of class, anything that belongs to a class, right? First of all, variables, we won't make them available outside the class, but methods will be available. But how methods will be available? If a method belongs to any specific class, you will have to create object of that class, and then only you will be able to invoke that particular method through object of that particular class. This is what is required. Now, whenever we are specifying this main method, which belongs to Hello World class, right? Now, this Hello World class, and I have specified that yes, main method is the entry point. From this point, from this method execution of your entire application will get started. Right? So in this particular case, how we are going to access this main method? Because who is going to invoke this main method? I am not going to invoke. JVM is going to execute this particular class. So JVM is going to invoke this main method, right? Now JVM knows how to invoke main method, but JVM doesn't know how to create an object. So we need a facility that even though we are using object-oriented programming language, where it is required that when any method belongs to any class, must be invoked using object of that particular class. Here I don't have object. So JVM doesn't know how to create object. JVM doesn't have any object. So what is required over here is this main method should be accessed by JVM without using object of this Hello World. Are you getting this point, everyone? So to have this facility that this main method should be accessed without using object of this particular class, this method is declared as a static method. So what static method tells us that whatever method you are declaring using static keyword will be invoked without using object of this particular class, which we will discuss again whenever we will visit static keyword. But is this point clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, allows to access the main method without object of the class in which, because this main method as we have defined in Hello World, it must be accessed using this particular class object, right? Fine. Next is void. What is void? Again, it is a keyword. Yes, what is meaning of void?
It cannot return any value.
No return
Return
value.
type.
Means
It does
ma'am,
not-
nothing.
It means null.
Null, but yeah.
Null nahi. Void
Not
is
null. That does not return anything.
nothing. No primitive, no null. Void is not null. Void is void. Null is different. Not even null. Remember this particular point. If it is null, it will return null in that case. Means it is returning something which is a null value. Void means you don't have return keyword. Okay. Yes. After that, main is the method name. Method name, which is also termed as an identifier. Now, whenever you are creating any class, whenever you are writing any class into Java programming language, so you can have a class with or without main. Yes.
Yes.
So what is the difference? Or first of all, what is the common thing? Both the classes will be compiled. However,
Yeah.
only those classes, those contain the main method will be executed. Not every class will be executed. Only the classes which have main method will be executed.
Evoked.
Right. Correct.
In whole Java program, we have only one main class.
Yes.
Yeah.
That will be starting point of your application. One entry point will be there now. You cannot have multiple main methods. How will you execute multiple classes at the same time? We don't have that facility. So for desktop applications, there will be one entry point, that is your main method. Okay. Fine. Now after this,
For web applications, it is not mandatory to use the main class.
for yeah, anyways, we are not using main method in the web application. That is entirely different. It is server based. No? There we won't have main method. Main method is required for the desktop applications and not for the web applications.
Okay.
Can we execute a program without a main method?
What?
Can we execute a program in Java without main method?
Can we exclude?
Execute the
Huh.
program without using main method.
Applets can be used,
Okay.
right? But applets which include the UI part into it, the output will be in the browser.
Okay.
Just a minute. Huh. So applet is a different thing. Application and applet. This is Java application. So with whatever Java class you are implementing using main method, that is application. Right. It will be your desktop application. And applet is without main method. And in that case, you are going to run the applet, right? But there will not be any main method and output will be displayed in the browser in that case. Yes. So what is this string arts?
Command line argument.
Argument, ma'am. That taking all the things and converting in string.
So whenever you are executing any application, right? So at that time, you have a facility that you can pass certain parameters to the main method at the time of execution. And those parameters are termed as command line arguments. So these command line arguments, command line arguments. So these command line arguments will be available in this array, which is of type string. This is what we are going to have over here. Right? Fine. After that, this is nothing but start of main method. Yes. After that, what is system dot out dot println? Who will tell this?
Yes, ma'am. System is a class. System is a class,
System
ma'am.
is a class.
Is a class. Okay.
Yeah. And out is a method in that class. Println is a method, ma'am. And that is used for printing.
Out is method or println is method?
Println is a
Println
is a method and out is a
So-
variable.
Yeah.
Variable of what type?
System type.
System type.
System type. Okay. Sure. Okay. Let me tell you what these are. Okay. So first of all, whenever you need to perform any operation, right? So whenever you need to perform any operation, we make use of methods, right? So println is the method, a method that can print whatever is passed as a parameter over here, say hello world, right? So this is a method that can print the
On the
contents
in the console.
passed to it as parameter, right? So it will print hello world. Fine. Obviously now we are not following C kind of approach that, okay, anywhere we are writing a function and we can access it. It's not like that, right? This particular function belongs to a class. So it belongs to a class named as printstream
Print stream.
in java.io package. So it belongs to java.io package. Okay. This particular belongs to java.io package. It's not available by default. Now, as this particular method belongs to a class, obviously, to access this particular method, we must have object of that particular class. Okay. So here we have object of
Print stream class.
java.io dot
Okay.
print
stream.
class. Yes, it is java.io.printstream class, which is already defined in system class as a static member. Now, whenever you have static, you don't make use of object. You always make use of class name, right? Here also what happens, as this method is static, we are providing which class? We are not providing hello world.class. We are providing name of the class. So internally it invokes hello world.main. Okay. So here also what we need is, this is the variable. So this out.println, this particular part of this statement is taking care of how to print. Println knows how to print. It is a method. The parameters we are passing to it is taking care of what to print. So how to print and what to print. These two things are taken care of by this part of the statement. Is this clear? Yes.
Yes.
What question remains? Where to print? Yes. So system class java.lang.system class represents the console. So any operation that is related to console. So whether you want to accept any input or you want to display any output, that operation will be performed by using system class. Is this clear? Or no?
Yes.
Yes. So this system class is taking care of where to print, how to print. Yes, out.println knows how to print, parameters, what to print, and system tells where to print. So all these things together gives us an effect that print hello world on the console. So print hello world on the console. Is this clear? And as this out variable is static variable, it will be accessed with system as a class name dot variable name. So anything that belongs to a class and is a static data member or member function, that will be accessed because it belongs to a class, and that will be accessed only through the name of the class and not through the object. Okay, so that's why it is system.out. Now you will say, where we will get to know, where is this, why it is kept static? The reason why it is kept static is it should not happen that for using that out variable, you will have to create object of system plus first. It should not happen. So that's why it is kept as static. System class name, you know. So system.out. Then where is this out? So whenever they have created the system class, in that system class, they have already created one variable of type print string class, and its name is out, and it can be accessed using system class. Is this clear now?
Ma'am, static means single copy, right, ma'am?
Yes.
So out means for the whole program we'll be having out as a single copy variable.
Oh, no. We are not declaring out in our
Yes, ma'am.
we are not declaring
Actually,
out in our application. No.
yes, ma'am. I am not talking about that. Whenever like JVM comes into picture, the system class will be loaded.
In the system class. So whenever
Yes,
that
ma'am.
system class is loaded, it will have only one variable.
Yes, ma'am. I am asking about that. So
Yeah,
out
yeah.
will be a single copy.
Class it is. In system class, there will be only one copy. However, in our application, we cannot claim that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we are not declaring that variable in our application.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. After that, you can see this semicolon, right? So every statement in Java must end with a semicolon, right? Then this end of main method. Then next is end of class. Right? Now we have seen that these two commands are supposed to be executed. But now, as we are using Eclipse, we don't need to compile. Eclipse keeps on compiling the code at the back end. Right? And if you have any compilation error, so suppose I remove this semicolon. So there is a syntax error. So it directly gives you an error saying that syntax error, insert semicolon to complete block statement, right? So this is the compilation error unless you save the code. Did you see that whenever I make any changes, one asterisk sign comes over here? That means your code is not saved. Unless you save the code, the changes will not be reflected. Recompilation is required. To reflect any changes in your Java class, recompilation is required. Okay. Now Eclipse keeps on compiling the code, so we don't need to execute this particular command explicitly. We need to directly execute Java code. So because .class file is already created for us, either you can execute from here, or you can go to run as Java application, or you can simply right click, run as Java application. These are multiple ways which you can use. So it will display the console. You can see that there is a console and this hello world is printed on the console. Okay, any queries?
Ma'am, would you repeat please out once more?
Out is object of java.io.printstring class, which is a variable that is already declared in system class, and it is declared as a static data member. So they have already kept it, and we are simply supposed to use it through class name dot variable. Okay.
Okay.
Why
ma'am.
this object is required? Because this println method belongs to that particular class, and as this is non-static method, we need object of print string. Println method is not static method, it is a non-static method. So it will be accessed using object of the class. So instead of we creating it every time, they have already provided it, because if we will create object of print string class, we will have to specify that where the console configuration I will have to do in my class. So instead of me doing it again and again, they have already provided it into the system class. That's how the console will be linked with system. Clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
If we want to print things not on console, ma'am, then how it's changed? System in system we what changed? If we
System
want to-
always represents the console.
we don't
system-
want to print things on console, any other things like web application interface.
But where do you
then
want to print then in that case?
in web application interface or something.
Web application may you won't use system only now. There is no console.
Yeah.
That is different. You cannot now see again. You are getting confused. This Java application with main method is going to be a desktop application, so you have console. But when you are moving to web application, you don't have main method, you don't have console, so your output will be in web browser.
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So that is entirely different scenario. That their output will be in the web browser and not onto the console.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Fine. So So let's now move ahead. Everybody has understood this basic class creation, right? So this is how we are going to create it. Let's now create another class where we are going to discuss about the data members, design of the class, and all that. So let's now create a class, say class person. So now we are going to use the data members, right? So whenever we are talking about data types in Java, right? So there are two data types available. One is primitive data types. Another is reference data types. Yes. So in primitive, what we have, the basic data types. These are the basic data types that we have. So there are the categorization of the data types. First is integral. Right. Then we have floating point. Then we have booleans. And then we have characters. Right. So these are types of data which are supported. Yes. Now in integral, again, we have 4 data types that are available. So data types are 2, primitive and reference. What are primitive data members? These are basic data types, right? What are the types that are available? First is integral. Second is floating point number. And then we have booleans and characters. So in integral, again, we have 4 data types, which are byte, short, int, and long. Okay, these are 4 data types under integral data type, which will hold a non-decimal value, right? They hold non-decimal values. There won't be any decimal values that are available over here. They cannot store this much data. Now, whatever names you can see over here, these are all keywords that are used to declare the data member. Now, when we say basic data type, obviously we have a predefined memory available for it. So byte requires 1 byte of memory. Okay. Now, what is meaning of it? Whenever I am declaring a variable of type byte, 1 byte of memory will be assigned to that particular variable. And then you will be able to, that means 2 bytes of memory, 1 byte of memory will be allocated in the memory, and you will be able to store data over here. Short requires 2 bytes of memory. Int requires 4 bytes of memory. And long requires
8 bytes.
8 bytes of memory. Any non-decimal value you can store in any of these 4 data types. How you want to store the data, that is specified, or that is dependent on how much memory you will need for it. Yes, so this is about the integrals. Fine, is this clear? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now, every integral, whenever you are declaring, they have the default value. So the default value for all integral data members is 0. This is the integral value or default value. And for long, we are going to specify either capital L or lowercase l as suffix. The default number, any value which you have declared or which you have, it is by default of type int, which is stored in 4 bytes of memory. So if you need to store some data in 8 bytes of memory, then you will have to specify that yes, it should be treated as a long, and this value should be stored in 8 bytes of memory and not in the 4 bytes of memory. This is what you need to specify over here. So these are the integral data types. In floating point number, we have float and we have double. So in float, again, we have 4 bytes of memory required. And in double, we have 8 bytes of memory required. Now, by default, in floating point numbers, the data is always of type double. So it will require 4 bytes of memory. So to make it sure that it is not a double, and I don't want to use 8 bytes, but I want to use 4 bytes, we will have to attach this capital F or lowercase f as a suffix over here to specify that the value is of type float. And here the value is 0.0. And here also it is 0.0. Is this clear? Now floating point number can accommodate integrals because their floating point can have after decimal point you can have value as 0, right? Yes. So for booleans, we have a data type named as boolean that requires 1 bit of memory, not byte, because it is represented in the form of 0 or 1s. So 1 bit memory is required and its default value is false. Okay. This is what we have. And in characters, we have char as a data member, which requires 2 bytes of memory. And its default value is 1 blank space. Okay, its default value is 1 blank space. So this is what we have for the primitive data member. Yes. Now primitive data members are always stored on stack. Stack is nothing but a partition in the memory, which is named as a stack, and integer, the basic data types, the primitive data types are always stored on the stack partition of the memory. Yes, and they hold values themselves. Okay, so any change, any modification will reflect into its own. How it is done, I will show you. We will come back to this particular point little later. But remember that primitive data members always hold values themselves. Is this clear or no, everyone? Primitive data types?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now the reference data type. Reference data type are
User
not
did.
Object.
Yeah.
you can
Object
say,
reference.
or yes, objects, right? So the data types are class type, that is nothing but object. Yes, interface type, which is nothing but again object of class implementing that interface, and
Abstract.
arrays.
Marriage is also class.
No, arrays not in collection, overall array. What we
Okay.
create.
Thank you.
As in data type, not the class in the collection. That is a class, I agree, but whatever array we create, right, of primitive type or
The thing which we specify is as box brackets, right? No? That.
correct. That is nothing but an array. So these arrays are also reference data type. Now there is no predefined memory, right? No predefined memory allocation, right? And these are stored on heap. Heap is
Heap,
the
ma'am.
right. These are stored on the heap partition of the memory. The references are stored on stack and the data is stored on heap. Okay, so references are stored on stack partition and data is stored on heap partition. Got it? And the important thing is they refer the location where data is stored. They don't hold the values themselves. Okay, they don't store the values themselves. They refer the location, they point to the location where the value is available. How it is done, I will explain. The default value is null for class type, also for interface type, and also for array. The default value is always null. Is this clear regarding the data types?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, so let's now see what is the meaning of whole values are held by themselves and not held. So whenever you are developing or whenever you are developing any application, obviously you will declare certain variables. So this is the memory. Right? So let's consider that this is the stack partition. I'm just considering, it will not be in this way, right? Just for having the understanding, right? So what I have over here is this is the stack partition and suppose this is the heap partition of the memory. Yes. Now, whenever we have this, suppose in your application, so in your application, you have declared a variable int num1 equal to 10. So this being a primitive data member, because we have used this int keyword over here, it will be stored at some memory location. So num1 equal to 10, right? So this will be the so this is the location where 10 value is stored. Yes, and this is referred as num1. So num1 is going to refer this particular location over here. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Now in my application, suppose this num1 value is further changed to 200. Consider this scenario. So what will happen in this case is whatever value was previously available, that will be removed and a new value will be available at the same location. Is this clear? So location is not changed, the value is replaced at that particular location only. Is this clear, everyone, or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now string is a reference data member. So suppose I am creating string str is equal to hello. This is how a string is created. Okay. So what will happen? Whatever reference we have, so that reference, which is str is called as a reference. So suppose this str is stored at, the references are stored on the stack. Okay. And its corresponding value is stored on the heap. So this hello string will be stored here. Okay. And this str will be pointing at the location where this hello string is being stored. Is this clear, everyone?
Can you repeat this?
str is your reference. It will be stored on the stack. Hello is actual value. It will be stored on the heap. And this reference will be referring to the location where data is available on the heap.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now what happens? Suppose in
Ma'am,
my app.
hello. This thing happen only when we use new keyword. Otherwise, I think it's only make memory.
It is string literal. Whenever you are using, it makes use of string pool.
Yeah,
but
yeah, ma'am.
internally
A
it's
string
an
pool.
object only. It
Yeah.
creates an object only. Internally, it is string object because string is a class.
Yes,
String is a
ma'am.
special class, ma'am, because
When
whenever
we are storing the same value, then only that particular string pool will be considered.
Yeah, reference that. Yeah, ma'am.
Right. Here we are discussing about a reference data member. Now string can be stored in two ways, either in the literal way or in the object way.
Yeah, ma'am.
However, of both literals and objects, internally an object is only created because string is an object. Only the thing is, if you are storing string in the literal and that string is already available, the new variable or the new reference will point at the same location. Internally, it is an object.
That happens. And in string, there is a string pool here in case of a string. And
Now I have changed, or in my program, the value of str is changed to high, right? So in this case, what will happen? Earlier, what was happening? At the same location, the new value was provided. Yes. Now the value is changed. So what it will do? it will not make changes over here. It will store this new value at a different location. So suppose this is the value, new value which I have. Then this reference to the earlier location will be removed. This location will no more will be referred by this str. However, it will refer the new location where new data is stored, where it is pointing. And this will later be garbage collected. This will be available for the garbage collection. So it will be removed automatically by Java, right? But what str is going to do? Now str is not going to refer the location which was there previously. str is going to refer the new location where new data is available. Clear? Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is how primitive data members and reference data members are stored into memory. Clear? Yes. So this is what we have over here to discuss. And this happens with all these reference data members. So that's why it is said that they don't store data on its own, right? Where primitives hold values themselves, and here reference data members are going to refer the location where data is stored. Understood this part, everyone? Yes? Okay. So now let's create a class. Let's now see how to create a class, user-defined class, and we will declare variables over here, right? Initially, I'm not going to make use of private access modifier. First, we will understand what happens when we don't have a private access modifier. And then when we declare those variables as private, what changes we will need. Okay. So I'm declaring a variable, say string name and int age. This is how data members are declared. These data members, which you can see over here, these are global data members or global scope. Global scope means what? These data members are not declared inside any block, right? So these are available globally within the class, right? Whenever you are declaring these variables at class level, these are having global scope, and these variables will have access throughout that particular class. Obviously, right now they are available outside the class as well, because I have not used private keyword over here. We will use eventually, but this is the global scope. Also, they are termed as instance data members. Okay. So whenever you are going to declare variables at class level, which are non-static data member, yes, those data members are also termed as instance data member. Instance is nothing but object of the class. Okay. So every object, every instance of this particular class is going to have its own what we can say, its own copy of these variables.
Yes.
Okay, they are going to have its own copy of the variable. So there will not be any common thing or shared variables, we will say, across the instances when you have instance data member, right? So we have name and age. So this is one class. Now I'm not going to add main method over here. I will create a separate class, which is person main. In this person main, because I want to keep this class as an independent class, which will represent a person, and any functionality, any object creation, I'm going to do into the separate class. This is my main method. This is my main class, which I will be able to execute. So now what is difference in this person and person main?
It has main class, ma'am.
Will be compiled. This will not be executed. This will be executed. Right? Now these data members being instance data members, we will have to create instance of this particular class. How to create instance of a class? So the syntax is class name. Instance is nothing but object,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Terminology, object, instance, same. So when you say that I'm going to instantiate a class, that means you are creating an object of that particular class. So this is the syntax. Look at the naming convention. So I'm going to create a class person1 equal to new person. I have created instance of this particular class. Now I want to assign name and age for this particular person1 object. Yes. So for that, I'm going to make use of object name dot variable name equal to value. This is how we are going to initialize the data member, right? So for that, we are going to make use of person1 dot. Once you give that dot operator, you will be able to access the data members. Currently, it is accessible because we don't have any data security applied to it. We don't have any data hiding. Eventually, we will add data hiding as well. So suppose this is Ramlal and person1 dot age. This is some age. Yes. Now when I want to display these values, so name, I want to apply a label, so I'm using a string. Plus operator is used for concatenation. So person1 dot name person1 dot age. Now you cannot execute this. You can execute this internally. It will create object of person class. So whenever you are executing this particular code, you can see that this name and age is being printed over here. Now, as we know that one class can be instantiated multiple times, right? So you can create another object over here. How many number of objects can be created? There is no limitation onto it. Then person2 dot name. This is its own copy. Every instance has got its own copy of variables. Yes. So person2 dot name is equal to stage Ramlal. Right. Then I will print this. And I will change the object name. Every object has got its own copy of these data members. So in this case, what are these? So this person1 over here is the identifier for that particular object. It is the name given to that particular object. Every object will have unique identifier. Within one class, you cannot have multiple variables with same name, right? Declaration I'm talking about. So also every object has got a unique identification, and that is specified by name of that particular object. Every object has a state. State is nothing but state is represented by the values which you have stored in this particular object. So this is representing the state. So person has a name, person has an age, and the value is Ramlal and 30. So this is the state of the object. There is one more characteristic of an object, which is behavior. Behavior is nothing but what functionality you can avail or the object can perform as a behavior. What functionality, what operation you can perform by using that particular object. That specifies the behavior. And behavior is always responsible for changing the state of the object. Is this clear to everyone, or am I going too fast?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Everything is clear.
Yes, ma'am. It's clear. Yes.
Java, what is your feedback over here?
Well, ma'am, good.
Good. You will have to put more efforts, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes,
put
ma'am.
it out to me.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Yes,
Ma'am, since the class person is located in another Java file, how is it accessible inside the person main Java file?
Because it is a public class. And they are at the same level.
Okay, so multiple Java files stored in the same subfolder are accessible to each other, right?
Yes. If you have a package, you will have to import that particular package like that.
Okay, sure.
If a
One
specifier is
class
public,
Huh?
if class is specified is public.
Right. So one class can easily be accessed in another class, no doubt about it, provided that you have the visibility of that particular class available.
Okay, sure.
that class
Okay.
should be in one package.
Not necessarily one package. You can have classes distributed across the packages. So if you have, suppose you want to get connected with the database, right? And then you make use of predefined package. Now you are not going to put your class in that package. You import the package. In that
Yes.
package, you import the required classes and you use it. Right?
Yes.
So this is what we have over here. Fine. Okay. So this is what we have, and whenever now I'm executing this, I'm going to get two different outputs over here. Right? So do you want to implement this code on your own right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, if rather than creating another Java file, if we just use the same class, the class person, in the same file that is outside the person main class, can the objects be accessible inside it?
No, come again, come again.
Say if we don't create another separate Java file called as person.java, and if we just copy the class person code inside the person main Java file outside the scope of the person main class. So are the variable string and int still accessible inside the person main class?
You mean you are adding one class over here?
Yeah, outside the bracket on line 21 in the person main.java file.
It is, yes, you can have multiple classes written in one .java file. You can
Okay.
have that. However, the thing is, there will be only one public class. You cannot have multiple public classes. So you can have this class written over here. Yes. And whatever public class name is there, that must be name of the file. These are the standards which you need to follow. Then in one file, you can have multiple classes. So you will have to pick this class as it is from person.java, just excluding this public keyword, and you can paste it over here.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, this is one thing. Other thing is you can have inner classes, class inside a class. That is not available for reusability. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So should we take a break for 15 to 20 minutes and then we will begin? Then we will continue. So now whenever we are creating this, so we have seen that two objects are created. Every object has got its own specific state over here, right? So this is also done. Any queries so far? Anyone has any query?
No.
Okay. So now whenever we are implementing this particular code, right? Currently, this data is easily available outside the class. By using this dot operator, we are able to access the data members. So I can initialize and I can also print that particular value, right? So now whenever we are doing this, definitely we are not following the standard where the data security is maintained. There is no data security maintained, right? Yes or no? Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So whenever we are using this particular way of accessing the data members directly through the class or the object, right? So we are breaking the data security. This is like we are not following the encapsulation, because in encapsulation, whenever we are putting the things together, the data members and member functions, the data members must not be available outside the class directly. So we are breaking the rule of encapsulation over here. So what we need to do over here, what can be done in this particular case is whenever we are declaring these data members, we will make use of this private keyword, which is an access modifier. And once we make these data members as private data members, obviously we are going to get an error over here. Now it says that the field person.name is not visible, right? It is not visible. Why? Because now whenever we are declaring these data members as a private data member, their access is restricted to the current class only. It cannot be accessed outside the class. But then what is the point? I'm declaring the variables and I'm not able to access those variables. That doesn't solve the purpose, because then how I'm going to save the data, how I'm going to store the data, right? So for that purpose, what we are going to do is we are going to provide the methods. Those methods will be public methods, and those public methods will allow us to access the data members of this particular class. That means we are able to utilize this particular data, but with certain restrictions and not directly. Yes. So we are going to make use of methods which are termed as setter method. Setter method is the method which is used to initialize instance data member. ideally one variable, one setter method, one variable, one getter method. Getter is to retrieve, setter is to set the value, right? Or initialize the value. These methods are also termed as mutators and accessors. Mutators, it is going to mutate the value. It is going to change the value. Mutability, right? And accessor is going to access that particular variable. That means you are going to get back the variable value. So for that, we are going to keep the methods as public. So in this case, we are going to create a method. As a method, what method is going to do? Method is going to perform certain action. So whenever you are defining any method, it must begin with an action word, right? So what I want to do, I want to have setter method. So set what? I want to set the name of the name of the person. Now, as this is going to set the value, it is going to initialize name variable. Obviously, it is not going to return anything. So we are going to specify it as a void, right? Because its operation or its action is to set the value, initialize the data member. So it is going to put the value, but it is not going to get back anything. So it must be void. So what it is going to set? Name. Fine. So whenever we are passing the parameter to any method, we must specify what is the data type. What is the name of the name? What is the data type of name variable? String. So I will pass this particular parameter over here. Right? Just there is some noise. Okay. So when it is going to set the value in the name variable, where is the value? Obviously, we need to specify that value over here. So string name. Why data type is string? Because I want to set name and data type of name is string. So I must have one string variable available whose value will be set in this name data member, right? Then if I will write name equal to name, obviously there will be ambiguity. This is a local variable. It is declared within this particular method. So it is termed as a local variable. So right now, this name, whenever I am going to use it, it says that the assignment to variable name has no effect because currently it is accessing the local variable. So the same variable is getting assigned with the same variable, right? I don't want that. What I want, the name variable which belongs to current instance on which I am invoking this set name method, that name variable should be accessible and that will be taken care of by this keyword. This means the current instance. Whenever you need to represent the current instance through which either you want to access the data members or the member functions, then you will make use of this keyword. Is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So it
ma'am.
is representing the current object. Means what is going to happen? I have created this person1 object over here. Then I'm invoking the method person1 dot set name. And I'm passing some value over here. Right? So what has happened? Whenever I have invoked this set name method on this person1 object, so whatever is the name variable, its own copy, that will be referenced. This means this person1's variable of its own copy, name variable, should be assigned or should be initialized with the value which I'm passing over here. So this name is this name which we are passing, and this variable is nothing but the variable that belongs to person1 object. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now when you need to retrieve, so for retrieval, again the method will be public. As I'm going to retrieve, that means I'm going to get back something. What I'm going to get back? Get name, right? Name, what is the data type of name? What value I'm going to get back? String. So the return type will be string. As it is going to get me or give me the value which is already set, I don't need to pass any value, so I will not pass any parameter over here, right? So I'm just going to specify return name. Here this dot name is not required. Even if you will write, it's okay, but it is not required because there is no ambiguity available over here. Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. So any query? No query, right?
So for person 2, we are again set the use the setter and getter methods.
Yes, yes. For every object we will use that.
And at that time we are using this keyword or not?
Where?
For person 2.
The same method will be invoked, no? This is going to represent the current object. So whether it is person 1 or person 2, that depends on which object you are invoking the method on. It's not like for every object, we are not going to create a separate one. One class, this is your template. Multiple objects you will create. So each object will have its own copy of name and age. So whenever I say that this dot name, so it will refer to its own copy of name. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So person1 dot get name. Whenever a method is returning some value, you can invoke it from within system.out.println. Okay, so this is what you can do. Now, similarly, we can write setter getter for age also. Now, because we are using Eclipse, we also have a facility provided by Eclipse to create these setter getters on its own. And we don't need to type any code. So for that, you can simply go to the source. And here you can see that generate getters and setters. Now, as for name variable, setter and getter is available, that option is not given. If I would have not created, it would have given me both the variables over here. So select this, select getter, setters, whichever you want. I want both setters and getters, which will be set age and get age. You can see that int is being passed because the age variable type is int. So generate. So this set age and get age method is created for us. Obviously, why get age first and why set age later? Because Eclipse follows the alphabetical order. That is the reason behind it.
Ma'am, can multiple arguments be passed inside a single setter method?
You can, but you won't. One variable, one setter method. That is the standard that is used, because the reason is if you want to modify existing object, you can use that particular method individually. Like say, for example, current age of Ramlal is 30. Next year, after birthday of Ramlal, age will be 31. So in that case, you just need to change the age value. Do you need to change person name value?
No.
So if you have setter method, which is accepting multiple data members, you will have to pass all the data members again. isn't it?
Okay, ma'am.
So it is always followed the practice as one variable, one setter, one getter method. Because you can initialize, also you can modify, isn't it? So
Yes, ma'am.
we will see that how it can be done. What I was doing here. So person one dot set age Now see, it is not reflected. Why? It says that the method set age is undefined for the type person, but it is available over here. The reason is I have not saved this particular code. So Eclipse doesn't have the latest compiled version. So it is giving me error. Once I will save this, that error will be gone. Fine. Any queries?
Ma'am,
Yes.
while writing the setter method, is it compulsory to use the same variable name? Like while setting age, we have written the argument as set age, int age. Instead, we can write any other variable name.
Yes, you can. You
So
can
in that
write
case, we don't need this keyword. No?
In that case, you don't need this keyword, but it decreases the readability of the code.
Okay, ma'am. So it's a standard.
Like say for example, in this particular class, I have multiple string parameters.
Okay.
First name, middle name, last name, address, username. 4 to 5 string parameters I have. And I have given some str1, str2, str3, str4 like that.
Yeah,
So every time I will have to check that, okay, what value to be passed, what value to be passed. So it decreases the readability and increases the complexity in, development of the code.
Okay, understood.
So increase that readability, because right now you have both the classes in front of you. It may not happen every time. Yes. So that's why this is a good practice, that whatever variable names you have, those variable names are passed as or given the same name as a parameter in the setter.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes. So this is what we have. So can you complete it for person 2 quickly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Done.
December month, na? Today is 3rd.
Yes, ma'am.
14th. So any queries in here? No queries?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, does Eclipse automatically import the library files or we have to manually import them?
Eclipse does that. Once
Okay.
you select the class which you want to import, so its corresponding package, it prompts you that which package you have, and it will add that import. But this facility is provided by Eclipse because it is an IDE.
Okay.
In text text pad or something, you will have to type explicitly. That is there. Yes. Clear? Okay,
ma'am.
who had asked about this person too? So what we are going to do, whenever we are going to write this entire code here again, right? And I'm changing this to person two. So by using this keyword, the current object, whichever you have invoked the method on, that will be referenced. Clear? Who had asked the question? मुझे अभी तक आपके नाम इतने याद नहीं आ रहे और आवाज नहीं रिलेट कर पा रही हूँ अभी. Who had asked this question? Someone had asked now. Some good.
Oh, ma'am.
Alu.
Yeah.
Your name is similar to my daughter's name. We call her Shalu at home.
That's great.
Her name is Shalvi, and we call her as Shalu sometimes. Okay. Fine. So clear? No queries, right?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
So I will share some assignments with you today regarding what we have studied, right? And let's check if the shared location is available for you. So I will upload over there. Otherwise, I will share on the email, just like yesterday. And don't send your solutions to me over email. Okay, if the folder play location is not at place, keep the solutions with you right now. And once that shared folder is available, I will ask you to upload over there. Because what happens now, my inbox is getting clogged due to all the, and I don't then receive the emails. Okay, so we'll do it in this way. Once the shared location is available for you, I will ask you to upload over there. Fine?
Ma'am, will you be discussing the solution, ma'am?
If you have any specific query or you have not understood what to do, definitely we will discuss about it.
Then I had a doubt about yesterday's class diagram, ma'am. There is a line saying that company has many branches, but at least two instances of the instances as the corporate office and registered office. So this will be 1:2, right, ma'am? For one company, minimum 2 will be the branches.
Hmm.
So how can we represent it in the class diagram, ma'am? It is not 1:n.
No. That you will implement through the code only.
You
It will
can't
not.
represent it in the.
No. It
Okay.
can be represented, or you can create, or is it in the form of classes, the subclasses,
Yes,
or the
ma'am.
category?
Actually, branch is a class, ma'am.
No. I think company is class and branch
Ma'am,
and
I think
other objects.
instances are basically the objects, right? So the corporate office and the administrator, like the register office, will be the objects.
Yeah. Of company class.
Yes, of company class, it will be an object where the company and the customer will be the like interfaces. You can implement like a classes or interfaces.
Right.
I suppose.
Not, don't go for interface right now. Keep it at class
Ma'am,
level.
like if we are taking a class, then we are going to get error cause we can't access the company directly, as we need to define objects for company and as well as.
But branch is another class or the property of company.
Ma'am,
It's
actually,
a
it's
property of
actually a class,
company.
ma'am, because branch has few values. Branch ID and manager.
So branch is another class which is
Derived
property
class.
of company,
Yeah.
which is a
Derived class of company, ma'am.
Company.
We add
Okay.
manager.
derived कैसे रहेगा?
Because
it's not
it has
derived.
Not derived. It's an extended class.
Company,
Like an extended.
company has branch, na? Company is
yes.
not branch or branch is not
Yes.
company. Company has a branch. That's why this assignment is given to you to understand various relationships in the classes, how you will be able to implement it, or what is the correct scenario, right?
Yeah.
Ma'am,
So to
once
understand the
in the
relationship between
assignment. Once you explain the first assignment, ma'am, further we can do like that problems or anything.
That was the only assignment. Okay, we will look at it. Sure, we will see how to do it. So at 12:30, we will have the discussion regarding yesterday's assignment. Till that time, today's topics I will be able to complete. Either at 12:30 or 1. Let's see how, because your training is till 1:30, no? 4 hours, 9:32. Because we need to discuss about the constructors now, and wrapper classes. So let's see if we can fit in on Monday. We can do some points here and there. It's okay. Today is what, Friday, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
First weekend in our journey.
Uh-huh.
First weekend in our journey.
First what?
First weekend in our journey.
Oh. Anything special on the weekend you are doing? Because it is the first.
No, ma'am.
Revise Java.
See, during training only you will get some time to do other activities. Huh? Once training is over and once you are deployed into the project, you will get very less time. So have a balance, right?
Yes.
Learn to balance work-life balance. It's required. Otherwise, it becomes really difficult.
And what will ask in means the assignment that is today from 5:30 to 6:30.
That will be the assessment on the topics which we have discussed yesterday. Those will be the objective questions.
Ma'am, how many objective questions?
Say 15 to 20.
Okay. Ma'am, there is any negative or negative marking?
No negative marking. Everything is very positive in Zorient. No negativity at all.
Okay.
And in my trainings, so definitely no negativity.
Yes.
Ma'am, how many questions will be there, ma'am, in the assignment?
15 to 20. 15 to 20. Assignment or assessment?
Assessment.
Ma'am,
ma'am.
assignment that.
One
Okay.
person is saying assignment, one person is saying
No, no, ma'am.
assessment.
Assessment, ma'am. Today evening assessment.
Assessment, 15 to 20 questions I'm targeting. Let's see how many you get. Let's keep it as a surprise, but not more than 20. टॉपिक से कितने कवर हुए हैं, कितने कितने क्वेश्चन निकाले हुए हैं, मतलब मेरा ही पूरा जावा निचोड़ के क्वेश्चन निकालने पड़ेंगे, है ना? तो that is one thing. And next, what was the question in the assignments? Assignments, you will get a lot of assignments. There, I'm not going to have any compromise done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have to complete those assignments because that will be benefit for you. Mm-hmm. आवाज नहीं आ रही. Hello. Am I not able to hear or nobody can hear?
Ma'am,
We can't hear, ma'am.
you can drop your question in chat box as well.
Hello. Yes, I will be sharing the recording with you on that Zoom channel. The recording is for you only because we are going to cover the theory session in 4 hours. So during your practice, during your assignment completion, you can refer to the recording if needed. Yes. Okay. So now whenever we are using these setter methods, what is the purpose of setter method is setter method is used to initialize instance data member. Okay, so it is used to initialize instance data member. Every instance data member will have its own setter method. So initialization of instance data member will be done through setter method only. This is what we have over here. And getter is for retrieval of the data. But now whenever we are performing setter or using setter method, for instance data member initialization. So how many steps we are taking over here, or how many steps are required? First is define setter method, right? Second is create an object of the class. And third is invoke setter method. Now I would suggest you one more thing to follow. it's not like it gives some different meaning to it, but it gives weightage to your answers. Like suppose you are facing some client interview, or even you are talking to your managers, leads, right? If you say, I'm going to run the application, instead of that, if you will say, I'm going to execute the application, definitely it gives a good, good weightage to your statement, execute instead of run. Or I'm going to create an object, instead of that, I'm going to instantiate that object, right? So instead of this, create an object is instantiate the class. You can only sense how different your answer will be, right? Or after that, call a setter method. Instead of that, invoke setter method. Write a setter method. Instead of that, define a setter method. Yes. So these type of terminologies or words definitely give you a good impact or good impression on the person in front of you. Yes. So get habitual to this. Yes. I know that you are technical people, and yesterday we have discussed, whenever I was expecting non-technical answer, you were still giving the technical answer. Now it's time to polish yourself. Now you are in IT industry. So how you are, the way you are talking to the person in front of you, your manager, your lead, or the client, now start polishing your knowledge, polishing your communication, technical communication I'm talking. Yes. Are you getting this, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Now, whenever you are going with your friends and on chai tapri or something, there you won't use, I'm going to invoke tea. Definitely no, right? But whenever it comes about technical discussions or technical, input sharing, so these definitely give you the weightage, right? So start polishing yourself. And these situations will happen that you are communicating with the client, you are communicating with the manager. You should see, nobody is going to ask you, or nobody is going to showcase you, because it is a rat race, right? Everybody wants that, to showcase that how I am good than others. Nobody will say that, yes, that person is good. It never happens. So you should start showcasing yourself, right? And these are small things. Again, you might be feeling that Nisha is giving pravachan now, but these are small things, guys. And if you get habitual right now, it will definitely help you in future, right? Okay. Do you agree?
Yes,
Everyone?
sir. Like
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Probably.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. So that's what I keep on saying, that very small things are there. But if you will start focusing on small things now, you will definitely be able to achieve or to have big achievements, right? Because these things actually give a good impact. And this is what I have observed and I have experienced throughout my journey in this corporate world. Though I am from the training background, but definitely while delivering the training or while giving interviews, obviously I have given interviews in various companies for my job, and definitely the answers, the way you are answering, the way you are using these technical terms definitely gives weightage to your answer. And we all know that first impression is last impression, and that works, right? Because technical knowledge you can always enhance, right? Representation skills you will have to develop. Presentation skills you will have to develop. Now, it is not required for me only as a trainer that I should have a good presentation skills. Everybody has to have good presentation skills, because that is the way how you are presenting yourself. Yes. So start polishing yourself. That will be a key to achieve success. Chalo. Let's get back to our Java. So setter method is used to initialize instance data member. So we need to complete this initialization of the instance data member into 3 steps. First, I'm going to define setter method, then instantiate the class. I have the object of the class, and then by using that object, I'm going to invoke the setter method. So to perform the same operation, do I have less number of steps? And I can do the same task. I can achieve the same result in less number of steps. So yes, that is possible. And this is possible by using the constructor. Yes. So using constructor for instance data member initialization. This is what we have over here. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how we are going to achieve this? So for that, we are just going to define a constructor and we are going to instantiate a class. Only this much is required. Define a constructor and instantiate the class. So now what is required over here? Why do we need this? Because currently, whatever task we are doing in 3 steps, invoking the setter method also required for every variable individually, right? So can we club it together and at the time of class instantiation, means at the time when we are actually creating the object, right? So that is also possible. Why this is possible? Because constructor gets invoked when the object is getting created. Yes. So whenever we are instantiating a class, constructor is invoked implicitly. How, why, where, we will discuss about it. But prior to that, let's understand what is the constructor. Okay. So first of all, what do you know about constructor? So what is a constructor? Anyone?
Special type of member function and it shares the same name as the class.
Correct. So basically it is a function. Okay. Has got same name as that of class. Obviously including the case because Java is case sensitive.
It doesn't have any return type.
No return type. Correct. Well, this is very important. No return type. Specify void, no, but for getter method, when it was not returning anything, we specified return type as void. So does constructor have return type as void?
No return type, not even
No
void.
return type, not even void, because generally whenever the method is not returning anything, we highlight it or we specify it through usage of void keyword. But here we are not going to use it. So not even void. This is very important. Okay, next.
Ma'am, it's automatically get invoked when we create an object.
Correct. Implicit invocation at the time of instantiation. Implicit invocation at the time of instantiation. Correct. Next. Next. A default constructor is available for every class, right? A default constructor. Default constructor is a constructor which is available by default. Means whenever you are creating a class, like here, we have created a class person. We have not added any constructor, but default constructor is available to it. Okay, this is what we have. One class can have multiple constructors defined. This is termed as
Constructor overloading.
Constructor overloading. Correct. So one class can have multiple constructors provided. This is very important. Provided the parameters that are passed to each constructor must vary. Then only we can write multiple constructors, and that is termed as constructor overloading. So that means what? A constructor can be with or without parameters. Okay, so the constructor can be with or without parameters. Is this clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. So this is what we have. So let's see how we are going to specify the constructor. So first of all, let's create another class only. Class, let's create employee class. Right? So in employee class, I will have private int empid, private string emp name, private string designation. Only this much I have right now. Okay. Now I am adding the constructor. How I am going to add the constructor? The access modifier, name of the class, and round bracket. Currently, we will simply put the SOP statement over here. Say employee constructor, because here I want to check that when the constructor gets invoked. So here I'm going to create another class, employee name. Whenever you are creating any class, right, it should have that particular representation, that okay, what it is doing. So this employee class is going to represent the employee. So it will have the properties and functionalities that are associated with the employee. So main function you can write in another class so that you are keeping this employee class as light as possible. Yes. And that also increases the reusability of the code, right? So when I say employee, okay, employee, what employee, how will you represent employee? Employee will have certain characteristics. Yes. So employee ID, name, designation, maybe some other elements also you have, right? So you have all these things. And you need to provide the facility to initialize those data members. Just keep your employee class like this only. Now, if you want to perform certain operations based on employee, like create object of employee, pass parameters to that employee object, or create an array of employee, or what other thing you can have is use collection, write data employee object into the file. So for that, you can write another application which is performing these operations on employee. So keep this as light as possible. This is termed as not exactly POJO right now because it doesn't reside into a package. POJO is plain old Java object where there is a non-final class, private data members, default constructors, setters and getters, and it resides into a package. Currently, we don't have it in the package. But yes, so keep it light. It increases the reusability of the code, right? So this is the main method. So employee class, I'm going to create object of the class. Currently, we are not assigning any data member. We will see how to assign the data members. Here, I want to check the behavior that I claim the constructor gets invoked whenever the class is instantiated. Means whenever this particular statement is executed, this statement or this string should be displayed on the console. So this is what I'm checking over here. Yeah. So I have this employee constructor displayed, right? Fine. So this employee is being displayed over here, employee main, right? This is what we have. So it says that whenever this particular code is executed, this part of code is executed over here. This is what we have seen, right? Now what I want to initialize these data members. So what I will do, say EMP ID equal to say 101, EMP name is equal to say Sita, and what do we have? Currently, I'm not passing the parameters, so usage of this keyword is not mandatory over here. Say develop, right? So these values are assigned to it. Now, when you want to print this data, yes, so either you can have getter method individually, or you can make use of toString method, which prints, but toString method we will discuss later on. Right now, we will see how to provide the user defined method. So public void display employee info. Yes, and here I'm going to write, because every time if I will specify getter method, I will have to have the individual access over there. Yes, so system.out.println, in that case, EMP ID this is EMP name, and this is the designation. And by using this particular object, employee object, I will invoke this display or print, whatever you want to write. And then I will execute this particular code. So output of this method will be displayed on the screen. Clear?
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
So this is what we got to know, that whenever any constructor is defined, yes, in that case, we are going to have those particular values specified to it. Okay. Now, whatever objects I will be creating, suppose this is employee 1. I'm creating one more object, say employee 2. Now this is the identifier. You can see that here I cannot create two objects with same name. So I'm just adding the separator. So 2 times I have created the object, or 2 objects I have created, but I'm getting the same value, right? So in this case, what we can do is I want to assign my own values over here. I don't want any predefined values, because all employees are not going to have whatever employee ID, name and designation specified over here. So I'm going to create another constructor, which is parameterized constructor. This is non-parameterized constructor. Default is available by default. Once you write any of the constructor in your class, default constructor is no more available to you. Yes. So here I will have EMP ID, string name, string designation. Now see, 2 strings, right? So not to get confused, it's better that you provide the same name over here. So this dot EMP ID is equal to EMP ID. This dot EMP name is equal to EMP name. This right hand side EMP name is your local variable. You can match the color code as well. This color is this color and this color is this color. This is how Eclipse gives you more readability. Okay. Then what I'm going to do over here is, suppose this EMP ID 102. So if this is the information which I'm passing over here. So now whenever I'm executing this code, then you can see that different values are being printed on the console. Any queries?
This is an example of constructor overloading.
This is constructor overloading, correct?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, actually, when I studied Java, I got to know that this non-parameterized constructor, this is also known as the default constructor.
No, no, no.
And
no, that is.
And I also got to know that here we are overriding that default constructor only.
Right, the signature is same, but naming convention you cannot use. See, default means what? What is available by default. It's already given to you. It's already provided to you. But here you are writing it, right? Here you are specifying this constructor. So this is termed as non-parametric constructor. The signature of default constructor and non-parametric constructor is exactly same. But now as you are specifying it over here, it is not the default one. Default one means what? It's already provided. Yeah. You don't specify anything, right? The signature is exactly same. Non-parameterized constructor and default constructor. Signature is same. But default constructor we don't mention. In this person class, we have not mentioned the default constructor, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
गया person class मेरा? हाँ, यहाँ. We have not mentioned any class over any constructor over here, but it is still available, isn't it? So in this person class, now see, everybody, what I can say that they terminologies are used as per their convenience. Hello. Bar. Yes. So now what is the behavior of default constructor? I have not provided any constructor, and for default, I will not provide only. Yes. And now in person main, before assigning the values, now here default constructor is invoked, right? So before assigning the values, if I will print these values, this is before assigning the values, means default constructor is invoked. So in this case, you can see that the values are null and 0. And then we have assigned to these values. Right? That means which constructor is invoked? Default constructor.
Default one.
And whatever is available by default, we don't specify it. But in employee class, we have specified this particular constructor. So though the signature is same, we have specified.
So ma'am, in other words, can we say that we have overridden the default constructor here?
Yeah, we have overridden the default constructor. That is true. But default constructor is non-parametric. I mean, when you are specifying the constructor, it is no more default.
Yes.
There is a thin line difference in both of these.
Correct, ma'am.
Right?
Thank you, ma'am.
And that is from the what I can say, from the understanding perspective or terminology that we use over here.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, that confused me a bit. So
Right. No, your point is correct. Many times we have this kind of. It's not about the anything wrong.
Ma'am, if access specifier is not defined to a constructor, then also it's non-primitive or it's a default constructor.
Come again?
If access specifier is not given to a constructor, then it's called as a default constructor or non-primitive.
No, access modifier is not related to default or that, no. Access modifier specifies that whether that particular class can be instantiated outside the class, outside the package. That is what specification of access modifier in constructor will do. Like say, for example, if I will specify private access modifier over here,
it becomes single then we declare it as private.
This is going to affect the object creation. This is not going to affect whether it is parameterized or something like that. Okay.
When we change the access specifier to private, it becomes singleton, right?
Yes. And when it becomes singleton, you need to provide a method which is returning that particular object.
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot just keep that constructor private, because when constructor is private, you cannot instantiate it outside the class. And when you cannot instantiate it outside the class, you cannot make use of any method which belongs to it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, your question is answered.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Okay. So constructor ho gaya. What else? Constructor overloading also we have discussed.
Ma'am, say we take an input from a user as to the number of how many number of employees are. Say the user gives input as there are 3 employees. Then is it possible that we use the same variable again and again, but the objects are generated automatically based on users' inputs?
You mean the variable employee EMP1, suppose you are using and you are assigning different objects to it. Is it like that?
Yeah, I mean, we are using the same variable name like EMP ID, EMP name. But if the number of employees is 3, then we can create 3 objects based on the number of input.
Correct. And every object will have its own copy of these variables. No?
Yeah, but ma'am, now we are since we are using 2 employee details here, that is Sita and Gita, we have created the object ourselves. But if we don't know how many employees there are gonna be, then how is the number of
So
objects
every
created?
time new object will be created. No? So it could be like you have a loop through which you are creating the object, multiple objects, and you are assigning the value. So maybe you can do it in this way, that you have asked the user that how many employee information you want to add, right?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
set a for loop. Suppose user says that 10 employees I have. Fine. So you can set a for loop for that particular number, and every time accept input from the user, create a new object and assign data into it.
Okay, ma'am.
But then you will have to save that data somewhere, like in array or in collection, so that all 10 objects will be available to you. Otherwise, every time that data will be overwritten.
Okay, ma'am.
Somewhere you need to have those 10 objects available, no? So you should have an array or something. So array we are going to discuss on Monday. So we will be working on this, what we just discussed.
Okay, sure, ma'am.
So in your curriculum, actually there is one more topic as wrapper classes, because if you are following through the training program or training syllabus which is provided by Amruta, there is one more thing as wrapper classes, boxing, unboxing, auto boxing, auto unboxing, that I'm not going to cover right now. We will need it, and wrapper classes also we will need it in the collection. So we will discuss it at that time. So I'm going to make this change in this particular curriculum. Okay, is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So if you are cross checking that निशा ने क्या क्या कवर किया, क्या क्या बचा, इसलिए मैं बता रही हूँ. Fine.
Fine.
Now there is the keyword which we have seen. This keyword is there. Yes. Fine. Now this keyword over here is also used for invoking the constructor internally. So whenever you need to invoke any other constructor, suppose whenever I am invoking this constructor, I want to invoke the default constructor as well. Yes. So now let's see what is the output. ये कौन सा रन हो गया, रामलाल श्यामलाल नहीं चाहिए, ये वाला चाहिए. So you can see that in this case the non-parametric constructor is invoked and these values are set, but currently I have commented this, so currently the values displayed are 0, null, null. Why 0, null, null? Because the default value of int is 0, string and EMP name string and designation string being reference data value, the default value is always null. So these default values are displayed over here. Yes. But now whenever the second object is created, where I have passed the values, obviously it does the parameter matching. So whichever is the matching constructor. Here 0 parameters are passed. So this first constructor is invoked. Here 3 parameters are passed. So this constructor is invoked. So the matching constructor is invoked, and from within we have this call over here. So it gives call to the non-parametric constructor of the current class. So employee constructor is getting printed over here as well, which is actually the part of non-parameterized constructor. Is this clear? So much of this. Here also this, and I'm also asking, is this clear? Arey bolo.
Ma'am, clear.
Yes, ma'am.
इतना hang हो गए हो क्या तुम लोग?
No, ma'am. Actually,
ma'am.
mic is turned off, so I have to turn on again and again.
Ma'am, like if you place this constructor at the end of the installation of those 3 variables, so will we print the values of those, or as we have
Initialization, you mean?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
if I will write
This on
this,
below 3 lines. Yes,
so
yes,
what's
yes.
here?
Yes, yes, yes. Then
See
it
what
will,
happens.
yeah,
What does it give? Compilation error.
compilation.
Has to be. See, what is the reason of invoking any other constructor? Suppose you have some initialization that needs to be done prior to what you are executing in current constructor.
Okay.
So any other constructor using this keyword must be invoked before any other statement.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So now coming to, okay, so we are going to stop here for today's teaching part. बहुत पढ़ाया मैंने, है ना? आज तो बहुत cover किया अपन ने, है ना?
Yes, ma'am. काफी सारा काम.
तो
मजा आया.
मजा आया?
Yes, ma'am.
ये सुन के अच्छा लगा.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. समझ में आना बहुत जरूरी है. भले ही 1-2 टॉपिक हम कम कवर करें, बट जो पढ़ रहे हो ना वो अच्छे से आना चाहिए. उसको वापस जाके ये समझ में नहीं आया, मेरे को जमता ही नहीं है सब, है ना? यस. तो कल का असाइनमेंट देखते. कैन एनीवन शेयर? मेरे पास है क्या वो? रुक जाओ. आई विल ओपन दैट डॉक्यूमेंट. कहाँ है? दिस वन ना?
Yes, ma'am.
Companies associated with different type of people like employees and a customer. Every employee and customer has some common details, so such as name, age, address. Okay. Now, when it is said that, okay, company will be one class, fine. Employees and customers who will have same or common details, name, age, and address, means what will you do? What do you understand from here? What is the meaning of this particular statement?
Like companies, employees and customer has the common details. Like everyone has the name, age, and address.
Yeah.
So it is
so-
common.
So how will you implement it? Keep the
we'll
company
take
as
the
As we
first,
are,
ma'am.
Address separate, ma'am. Address. which
ma'am,
is
we
also
are first of all we are creating public class using the age, name, and address will be
No,
common.
na. No.
Then we'll create a class person with the common details such as address, name,
Correct.
age. Then we'll inherit. Then the employee will inherit from person, and
Yeah.
the customer will
Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. Exactly. So the meaning of this particular statement is keep the company aside right now. Company here you are not going to create right now the class. So what you are supposed to do over here is every employee and customer has some common details stored as name, age, and address. means one class will be created, say person, because employee is a person, customer is a person. So person will be the superclass, employee and customer will be subclasses of person. Person will have the properties as name, age, and address. Okay, fine.
Yes, ma'am.
A company has many employees, means here you have one to many relationship. Right now you are just supposed to create the class diagram, right? So you can also even make use of paper pen. That will be more useful. So create a box. इसे यहाँ पे so यहाँ पे what you can do, create a box which is your person class. Whatever properties you have, name those properties over here. Create two more boxes. One is employee properties. I'm not going to specify here. You can do that, the needful work. And this is what? Customer.
Customer.
Yes. इसमें क्या relation रहेगा? ये relation रहेगा.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you can write it over here. Employee. ना छोटा 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 काम. Extends. Employee extends person. Customer extends person. This is what you are supposed to do over here. Both these classes extends person. This part is clear. Now another class you have, which is company. I will draw this over here. So this is, we have as a company. Company has employee, right? So this will be one to many. This relationship will be here. One company, many employees. Yes. And company has employees. This is has a relationship. This is a relationship. This is one change you have. One case to be considered. A special category of an employee is salesperson.
Yes.
Ma'am, it is a separate class, I think. Salesman.
From derived from
Employee
employee.
is a salesperson, na? Means what? Employee
Employee
का
from
subclass
employee,
बनेगा.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So here we have a subclass,
Salesman.
which is a salesperson. Yes, and salesperson.
Inherits employee.
Correct. This way you need to proceed. This is what you are supposed to do. So simple. Now, a company has many branches, but at least 2 instances as a corporate office and the registered office. Every branch has an address and a branch manager who is also an employee.
Branch manager is a inherits employee.
Means
Yeah, employee.
नहीं ना, it is an अच्छा चलो ठीक है ऐसे
Inherits,
ही.
ma'am.
Inherit from employee.
So this is one more category we can say of employee.
Can make it as manager and extend employee.
Yeah.
Will be branch manager. Okay, so company has branches, right? So branch will be another class. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Branch will be another class. It will be having branch ID.
Branch will have branch ID.
Branch address.
That is true. And branch is also going to require a reference to this branch manager.
Yes, ma'am. 1:1.
Will be referred here.
1:1.
1:1
relation.
This 1:1 relationship will be here, and remaining properties. Yes, and every branch address and branch manager that you have, who is also an employee. A branch manager has, in addition to salary, special allowance. That
Ma'am,
property.
what about these two offices? I'm confused in that case.
But at least 2 instances as the corporate office and the
That is object of company.
Those are objects, ma'am.
Object
Instead
of
of
company.
I think those are objects, but
objects of company,
Yeah.
because company has a property of branch, right?
that is what I got confused. It's the object of company
I
or the
think
object of
can
branch?
do it like one is
I
to
guess we need to create a branch now.
So here company has branch, right?
While coding we have to do it, ma'am. We can't
At least
show
2
it
branches.
So
on
that
the
will be
class.
listen
Because
that will be
1
array
is to
of
2,
branch.
minimum 2.
That will be array of branch with length as 2. Got it?
Ma'am, I guess, ma'am, we need to create a branch class, and inside that branch class, the employees will be there, ma'am.
We will see what is next.
It's make complicated because the same
But
property
here
occur by
branch
customer.
manager, see, branch is specified only with the branch manager, na?
So every branch will have a branch manager, ma'am.
So when we say that every branch has a branch manager, so here branch ID or branch address we have,
One it will become, ma'am.
and this branch manager ka reference will be here, na?
And every branch will have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
different set of employees, ma'am.
Is it mentioned here?
No, ma'am. It's not mentioned like that.
It is not mentioned here. Employee, if it is mentioned further somewhere, then you
No,
will
ma'am.
have to make the changes.
Then given it directly as company has
Because for employees have employee ID, department, basic salary and band. Here it is not specified which is the branch of the employee, or every branch has an address and a branch manager who is also an employee. However, all employees have employee ID, department and basic salary and band. So here branch is not mentioned again. So employee and branch are not related to each other through this particular statement. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So those 2 classes will not have any connection. And similarly, these are the methods. So today you are supposed to write the code for it. This assignment, you will be completing the code. At least designing of the classes, individual classes. Through inheritance, we have not yet inheritance we have not created now. Okay, so what classes you can create today? Just single classes, whatever branch you have, create company class, but in this array is not done for some class. Okay, don't do it, don't implement it right now. After Monday only you can implement it. Right now just complete with the design. Okay, with
Okay,
is a
ma'am.
relation, has a relationship, Then just design the properties of the class. Keep this design ready with you, and when sufficient topics are completed to implement this assignment, I will ask you to implement through the code. Okay.
Ma'am, may I share my screen? I am designed yesterday.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Go ahead, share your screen.
My arrow is on this side, ma'am, not as like inheritance. My screen is visible. Hello.
Yes. It is.
First, I made a person, and here, ma'am, it's employee, and all the details of employee and name. And I make address separate because address for name and branch also there is address. And for from company, I made entity as many we made.
Okay.
And for customer is separate and employee is separate, and there is also salary in that. And from salary, basic and branch salary is calculated. And in sales method, I override the salary because they have a on the basis of incentive their salary differ.
Correct.
I override here. And for branch manager, there is also a special allowance for that. That's why also. And here is the brand according to allowance condition now. And for customer, there is also a special customers. The additional that add I am plus this sign, that is additional apart from their base class, like name, age is also in customer plus customer ID and date of membership. And for there is a customer, there is a special customer is also. And for there we need a fee, date of registration, type, and discount. On the basis of there is a special privilege they get, we calculate here, ma'am.
Correct.
And that's all.
Perfect it is.
Can I also show mine, ma'am? I had done it differently a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Share your screen.
Yes, ma'am. You have to like unshare the screen.
Now my screen is not visible, I think. I must stop
But you
sharing.
can share.
Yes, ma'am. Is it visible, ma'am? Excuse me, ma'am. Is it visible?
Yes.
Similarly, ma'am, I have taken the person as a class which is inherited by employee and customer, and salesman, manager, and manager will be inheriting from employee, and from customer, premium customer will inherit the customer's part like customer ID, date of membership, other things, and premium customer has other data types, extra. So I put it here. So in manager, we have salary calculator, which will be overridden from salary calculator of employee. Similarly, sales salary calculator also overrides the employee salary calculator. And then I have created a branch. Means like 1:n I have given, ma'am. So you said no, we have to give an array. So I didn't do that. And branch has a manager, one single 1:1. And company has this many like functions which can be used from the company, and has these many data types.
Right. Okay. Correct. Let me just see the premium customer. Okay. Correct.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So anyone else has any form of class that will be value of the property.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Ma'am,
Yes.
can I just share my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. One sec. Yeah. Which is yeah. I think it's shared.
It is visible.
So this is what I have so far. Only thing is company mein. So I had a question ki there are two instances of company, right? Where it is the one is the registered branch and also one is another one's the corporate branch, right? So those are objects, those are going to be objects of the company, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like, and also another question was for this part over here where the customer is given. I was thinking ki maybe have another, like, was it special privilege customers, like have another class, but then that will be too many objects and I don't know how we'll get the full total count of customers also because that was mentioned in the problem, right? So is this correct or do we have to have another class to inherit this?
Just a minute. Number of customers, number of employees, and so on. Okay. Just a minute. Give me a moment. I'm just going through the problem statement again, and I will get back to you on this. Special properties. The fees and the date of registration are also stored in this case. Okay. So what was your question? Last question you asked.
So for customer, right? There are two cases where one it is we have the regular customer with just the customer ID, date of membership. That's about it. And then there's another part where they've mentioned ki if the customer wants to pay a fee and then we have to mention date of registration, the type and the discounts available for that. So I see two ways of doing it is where either we have one class and we mention that fee is 0, date of registration is not available, type is any, and discounts is none. And that is one way of doing it to distinguish between the two customers. Or we can have another class. I just want to know which one is the one that we should be doing.
Creating because the parameters are same, right?
Yeah.
Only the thing is fee will be there if fee and applicable discounts and everything will be there if the fees is paid. Is it? So you can have a customer class as a super class with common functionalities, right? And you can have a subclass with added features.
So like fee, date of registration, type and discount should be another class. Inheriting customer.
That will be a subclass of customer.
So then when we are having the total count of the customers, we should customer. So we need to have a count for this class and also for the next class and then add them both up and okay. Okay, fine. Yeah, that was my question. That's it.
Ma'am, can I share my screen?
Yes.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, I did the same thing. I take the person as a class where there is name, age and address, which is common for the customer and the employees. So it's a super class. In the super class, inside the super class, we have a class called customer, and we are inheriting the person details and also the employee was as the subclass of this person class. And for the employee, we have a employee called branch manager and salesman. Those two classes are inheriting the main employee class and inheriting the inside the variables and other things. And in the customer, we have the privileged customer, which is a registered customer. I am inheriting the norm customer class in
Hmm.
the registered customer class, and there are the other privileged where there in the question.
Right. Hmm.
And for ma'am, there is the salary calculation.
Hmm.
For most of the employees, there is a basic salary plus the allowances as per the question. And for the branch manager, there is a allowance for managing the branch. So I created a function inside the employee class, and I calculated the basic salary. And in branch manager class, I created a function where I added the extra allowances with the normal salary. So you can get the total salary of the branch manager. For the salesman, there is same thing. There is sales target and there is actual sales, and the gross salary will be sales target minus sales minus target into 30%. So we can add that with the normal employee salary, and we can get the total salary.
Right. Okay.
That's it. Okay.
Fine. Fine.
Is it okay? Or
Yeah. It's okay. Fine. So, according